You guys have organized this group so much. I really appreciate that. Everything is now a lot more productive. Fantastic. Do people know how to, uh, raise their hand, and also they know that they're being recorded?
They do, and we have one
Okay.
person on the list so far. I
Okay.
don't see her in here anymore. Did she boot out? Okay, well, let's take Harry London first when you're ready.
Harry.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, brilliant. Yeah, I'll make it quick. Won't be 5 minutes. But as somebody from the UK, I'm dying to go to Iran when the time comes. Hopefully soon. My wife is Iranian, so I know soon as things become better, obviously reporters are going to go in. But how soon after do you think, I'll be able to apply for a visa roughly and have a trip to Iran and Tehran.
Well, okay. It might take a while. Um, so I mean, first we have to see when the revolution is going to be successful. I mean, these are not predictable, but I'm assuming, and that depends on whether America and Israel do get involved or not, and they help or not. I mean, everything we're seeing suggests that they're going to get involved. If they do get involved, things are going to be a lot faster. If they do not get involved, it might actually take longer than some people anticipate. But I mean, the revolution at the end of the day will be successful. But if they don't get involved, it might take much longer than what a lot of people are hoping for. Um, but even if they do get involved, um, after the war, after, like, it depends on what they take out, right? Are they going to actually take out all of the main regime leaders? Because that's what we're looking for. So when America and Israel attack, are they going to be taking out Khamenei? Are they going to be taking out Ghalibaf, Pezeshkian, Ejei, the head of basically the three branches of the government? Are they going to take the remaining IRGC leaders, that the ones that took the place of the ones that were killed before? Are they going to take out Radon? Are they going to take out the Basiji centers? And we also have to see how many. There's always a debate regarding how many of the people within the Basij are financially motivated, more rather than ideological motivated. So the more the percentage is on the financial side, the better, because that means that once the regime falls, these people are not going to insist on trying to fight to bring Islamic rule back. The ideological ones are going to be more likely to continue to wanting to resist. So once we attack a lot of the Basiji centers and the IRGC centers, and the heads of the regime, we have to see whether or not the Artesh will, the less ideological army in Iran, will actually join the people or not. We'll see. We're gonna have to see how long that would take. And then once all of these happen, so yeah, the phases, I mean, imagine it would be the attack happens, then the Iranian people will come back into the streets in the millions. This is what people expect. And then this time it's going to be even bigger than before, because they're going to meet much less resistance, and they're going to be a lot more angry. And a lot of the people who were not part of part of the toppling of the regime movement, now they are, because they have lost loved ones. So you're going to see a crowd showing up that was even bigger than before. And at that point, the Artesh will basically submit and join the people. So we have to see how long each one of these phases will take. And even after that, the transition period might take a while, right? So we have to understand that we might have go through, uh, you know, 2 years, or I don't know exactly how long, of not having an elected government, going through a transitional phase where we're trying to create stability so that we could actually have our elections. And I don't know how things operate during a transitional government. This is going to be our first time going through that. Do the people issue visas? Is it even stable enough for you to want to go there to the I mean, I hope it would be stable immediately, but we'll have to see. Like, we have to going to see how many of these pro regime people are going to turn into terrorists, to want to try to uh, attack the transitional government forming. So there's a lot that we have to observe, but I'm assuming, my assumption, that it's going to take a while, but we might be pleasantly surprised. I hope we're going to be pleasantly surprised, but I think it might take a while. But I'm happy to see you want to come to Iran. Do you have any places that you have in mind to visit?
Well, initially Tehran, because my wife's family is from Tehran, so probably there first, and then uh, not really. Haven't really thought about it, to be honest. Just probably Tehran. There's a lot to see. I mean, there will be a lot to see once we come. I mean, to be honest, I was making a bit of a joke with my wife that they should focus quite after once things settle down, make focus quite a lot on the tourism, and then that way you could go and see the bunker where he is, and make it like a big museum. Because people go to certain countries not to see buildings per se, but for like historical events, like what happened in World War
All
One
right, yeah.
and Two. So you could turn it into something massive like that. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. By the way,
We've got a long list. We got to
BT,
move on.
yeah, okay, okay. So, guys, I'm assuming that the 5 minutes is for the question period, because I do try to use these questions as a way to come up with, longer than 5 minute answers for us to be able to turn into educational videos for other people, right? The 5 minutes is for the question period, I'm assuming.
So we had that discussion a little bit before you got in that, we want to make sure everybody who, a number of people get a chance, but also considering you're making content out of this. So how about you let me know how you would like that to go? And then also, are you keeping chat open? Because what I can do is stick to a strict, I can type it in the exact same every time. Okay. So like a little red light and then in all caps, like it's been 5 minutes or whatever time period you want, and then it can catch your eye if you like to go about it that way rather than like interrupting.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. I can keep an eye on the chat. So if it's okay, we could make the question period 3 minutes, and the answer period, if it's even up to 10 minutes, is that okay? Even if it's up to 10 minutes?
So you'll get
I'll
about
just type it
10.
in the chat.
Okay, you'll only get like 7 to 10 people asking questions at that rate, but
I,
we can
but that
we
would
can
be
see how.
maximum. That would be the maximum, though.
Okay, sure. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. Danny, tell your clock. And Armin, can we? You wear the pants around here, sir. You are the boss.
I, I tried to make this a group effort so we could decide together as a team. Okay, so who's next?
Okay, next we have Amy, and then Jungle, you're up in the queue.
Okay, can you hear me, Armin?
Yes.
First of all, I want to know, do you have pants on?
I have shorts on.
Okay, good.
I'm
Second of
kidding.
all, I was watching the end of the video with Goldie, and you were watching that ice guy, which is a perfect segue to my question. Are you aware that there was another shooting in Minneapolis today?
Um, n- no, I know there's a lot of things happening in Minneapolis. I'm not following the details because of what's happening in Iran. Can you give me an update?
Yes. Apparently, there was an ICE protest that is being televised, or at least by their phones. The people in the protest, they're paid protesters. They go out and they rile up stuff and they try to get their version of the story on our mainstream media. And that is why that's why there's a lot of frustration from everybody else about the misinformation coming out of the United States, and why half of the United States is uninformed, ill-informed, completely asleep. So this is what I wanted to bring the attention to in my question. Another shooting happened today, and another person was killed by ICE agents. It was his own fault. It was the fault of the protesters. It's the fault of the governor, the mayor, the media. And it will be portrayed as something that it is not. And half of the country will believe what is being told on the news because that is the news that everybody in the United States watches. Now, this will draw attention away from what is happening in Iran because they think that the one lady that got shot in the face and the one guy that got shot today are a bigger deal to them, to these stupid Americans, than all of the people in Iran. And I know that I'm sorry if I'm being super blunt and nasty about this, but is there a way that I cannot figure out a way for the life of me to get ahead of this and to get the real news out there. So maybe somebody else can come up with an idea of how to circumvent the mainstream media and get the real news out there.
Mm. My impression of this, and I'm not, you're more educated on this topic than I am. You could let me know what you think, and then we go to Jeffrey because I think he might have some good information on this. My impression, based on limited information, is that the people who are managing the protests and the radicalization and the activism, they're trying to create situations where ICE is forced to kill people so that they turn this into a way to keep radicalizing more people. Like I feel it feels to me that it's been designed in a way to create more tension, so that more of these events do happen, so that it ends up becoming a loop that keeps growing. Is that your impression, Amy, as well? Before we go to Jeffrey and see what he has to say.
Absolutely. And most of the United States is sitting at home in their living rooms and in their offices, and they're on social media and they're fighting amongst each other. And it's going nowhere. It's taking up time, it's taking up attention. And the far left in our country is they have it's called TDS. It is a real thing. There is a mental disorder that clouds people and makes them believe that our president is a dictator when they don't know what dictators really are. So maybe Jeffrey
Mm.
can
Yeah.
expand on that part of it, and I will turn off my microphone. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah. Before Jeffrey speaks, it's absolute. I have seen this a lot. It's absolutely insane. So many Americans are saying, comparing Iran and United States, and they're making it seem like, well, they have their tyrants, and we are getting shot for disagreeing with our government as well. So it's basically the same situation in the United States. It's absolutely insane that I actually see some people's takes are seriously that, like, I don't know how retarded you have to be to have that take over, like, comparing them and actually thinking that these are Americans are living under the same oppressive situations. It's unbelievable. Go on, Jeffrey.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's very serendipitous that that question was asked because I'm right in the process of finalizing a report surrounding the let me get to that report. So it's looking at the foreign exploitation potential in operational environment, particularly with things like the radical left's mobilization of anti-ICE actions in Minnesota and how they can be and are almost surely going to be exploited by the Mullah regime that currently occupies Iran. So, couple of things. One, she brought up a very an important operational point, which is the actions of radical leftists that underwrite the anti-ICE protests in Minnesota are going to de facto change the news cycle, and that has serious implications for maintaining public buy-in and subsequent national will surrounding support of brave Iranian protesters. There is also the extreme risk of exploitation by hostile foreign actors pursuant to those hostile foreign actors hybrid, unrestricted, and gray zone warfare strategies against the United States. That would be Putin, the Chicoms, and or the Mullah regime, respectively. That'll be in that report. I'll actually post it on your discussion board. Um, and it will center on one of the main lines of effort regarding that will be the moral flattening, right? Oh, see, there's like protests going on in Iran, and the Mullah regime is cutting, cracking down on them. And well, these are the things happening in Minnesota, so there's no moral, difference, or there's like a moral equivalence between radical leftists trying to kill ICE officers and brave Iranian protesters getting gunned down in mass by the friggin' Islamic fundamentalist terrorists that the Mullah regime imported into Iran because non like ideologically aligned elements in Iran, like the Artesh that you brought up, Harmon, are like, yeah, they don't want to sit there and kill Iranians. So they're getting the Mullah regime brought in terrorists armed with technicals. That's like those white Toyota trucks with Dashuka anti-aircraft are heavy machine guns. Like there's no comparison between them. That said, you're seeing elements trying to make that argument. Just today, the mayor in Minnesota tried a soft attempt at that without referencing the protests in Iran, which is why I'm banging out that report. It'll be put on the discussion board, and I'll send it to you and Goldie directly. Very good question.
Thank you so much for the reports that you post in our community discussion board. Thank you so much. That's really valuable. All right,
Okay, we have Jungle next, and yes, I don't know how to say your name, but Kashayar. I don't know.
Khashayar,
Sorry, Kashayar. I do have you on the list. I'm not sure if you saw the chat or not, but okay, wait, say it for me one more time.
Khashayar.
Kashayar. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, hello, Armin. I just want to say hi and congratulate your work taking the forefront, being in the forefront in the liberation of the Iranian people. And I was thinking after all this blows over, maybe we could have a discussion sometime. What do you think?
We could have a discussion now.
Well, I don't know if do you remember me and the discussions we used to have, or not? I don't know if I actually had one with you, but it was in the topic of the creation research and stuff.
Oh, you mean about the existence of God and stuff like that?
Yeah, or yeah, just whatever we wanted to talk about. I have some
Yeah,
topics maybe.
I am less focused on God and other religions because I think that these days the greatest evils that are threatening our way of life is Islam, communism, wokeism, the woke right and the woke left. So I'm mostly focusing on that, and I think that everybody else we should be united over fighting these evils. And I mean, I'm an atheist. I might disagree with Christians and Jews over their belief in religion, but but we have bigger problems. Right? We have, for me it seems like, in Game of Thrones where people are fighting over the throne, but while an army of undead is coming, and if they lose over the undead, it doesn't really matter who's sitting on the throne. So I think the disagreement between atheists and Jews and Christians and even Hindus is like very irrelevant compared to the threat that is coming for the world order as we know it. That's why I think like I've shifted focus.
Yeah, I see your point, and
Yeah. Oh, is
on
do we have
the teaching. That
your
was me.
audio was cut for a second for me. You go ahead.
Yeah, that was. I agree. I can see your reasoning, and that's the reason why I like to focus on the creation, because I think that's important too. But that's okay. That's fine. You're doing a great work, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Armin, in the meantime, maybe he could use the yak video if he's interested in creation. Next,
Yeah.
we have a question from Left Hand, and that is in regard to the future of water in Iran. Can you touch on that a little bit? the curiosity there was not only how it'll move forward, but which cities are most likely to see modern water infrastructure.
Okay, so the water situation is very critical, and I think something that is not going to be solved even with regime change. What regime change is going to do is going to slow down the destruction of our water infrastructure, but it's not going to completely fix it right away. It's going to take, I think, our in the natural resources and our infrastructure have been destroyed in such a way that it's going to take maybe decades to even come close to going back to where, I mean, I don't know, maybe technological, there does seems to be advances in technology that might actually help us get there faster, especially becoming an ally with Israel, and Israel having the best technology when it comes to water, both desalination and also repurposing, reusing water. Israel seems to be ahead of the rest of the world when it comes to technology. So having Israel as an ally is going to be very useful for Iran after the regime is falling. But I do think that people, it's not going to be a quick fix. Like now that Islamic Republic has fallen, all of a sudden everything will get back to normal and everything will be fixed. Especially because a lot of the Iranian um, agricultural industry is now based on high like based on crops that require a lot of water, and shifting away, this is something that the mullahs did to us. um Shifting away from that is really difficult. So the mullahs, because they're isolationists and they wanted to be self-reliant and not relying on imports, they looked at what Iranians were, what our agriculture was based on, and these were, I don't know what it is, English darchin or some. There were plants that would get you that it wasn't part of Iranian diet. So the mullahs are like, well, Iranians don't eat this, so we should switch to something that Iranians eat. Like, for example, they switched to rice and watermelon and plants that required a lot of water just because it was part of the Iranian diet. But um, what we were planting actually during the Shah time, even though the Iranian people didn't eat it, they were very expensive. Like Europeans would pay a lot of money for it, so we were able to export that, and with that money, just buy whatever Iranian people needed to eat. But again, the mullahs didn't want to rely on trade and foreigners; they wanted to be self-reliant. So they basically, a huge portion of our agriculture right now in Iran is based on stuff that are very very um, use a lot of water. So shifting away from that, especially in today's climate in Iran, that's going to be very difficult to shift an entire agriculture of a country away from all of those plants to something else. But again, this is something that I think is going to be a big problem even without Islamic Republic, unless technological advancements get us to a way that we end up coming up with solutions that are uh, much more effective than what we have right now. That's always a possibility. Um, so, what was it? What the specific question is like? Where are going to be the modernized?
Correct. What
Yeah,
do you see as oh, go ahead. Yes.
I was mainly asking, like what areas, what cities would be prioritized, because a lot of times what'll happen is like a lot consulting companies or major investment groups like BlackRock, they'll come in and they'll put some solution in there, but it's not the ideal solution. It's kind of like it costs a lot of money, it's good for them, and it kind of puts the country in debt. Um, that's kind of okay for short term, I guess. But I'm just curious, if there's like a multitude of approaches being developed so that it's more sustainable and not solely reliant on technology. Like what are some like trees and stuff like that that could survive the desert, but also provide shade and kind of cool everything down. But I'm not asking you that
Yeah,
question. I'm just curious. That's my context.
I love to
yeah. So the
answer
volume,
if
just
you want.
let me just get it. So the volume of water that we need is like way beyond. Like we're not talking about shade and cooling. Like we're talking about such huge volume of water that is going to be needed that our problems are like astronomically more bigger than, are we going to have shade or not, right? So we're talking an industrial level volume of water that we're going to be short of. And I know some of the major parts of Iran that the water shortage is going to also cause security problems are the eastern borders, where water shortages is going to feed into the separatists groups over there as well. So there's going to cause a lot of instability. Tehran itself is a major source of problem because of the high population there and how the water infrastructure there is not going to be enough to keep the population basically be enough for the population need over in Tehran. So that's going to be a major problem. Also, I do think that private equities and investment banks have been, based on what I've experienced, have been demonized unfairly many times. A lot of people always talk shit about private equities, and I think that's and investment banks, and I think that's very unfair. At the end of the day, every time a private equity firm has a deal for you, the company on the other side has a responsibility to see if this is good for them or not, and if it's not, they could just it's very easy to just say no. And no private equity firm is like the government. They don't have an army to force you into a deal. So it's your responsibility to decide whether or not you want to say yes to it or not. And if you say yes to a deal that doesn't end up being good for you, you're the one responsible. They gave you an option and you could have just rejected the option. So private equities, I think, are a good part of a solution because they always increase the options that the companies have. But Hila, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. I don't know if it's now, but maybe after but I mean, the first de-salt water
Salination.
facilities we had, it took 5 years, the first one. We got better in this. It took us 3 years, now even less. And I think with your manpower, we can do it faster. But it's still for the long run. So I have a lot, if you want to discuss it widely after
Okay. Jeffrey
you
wanted to, I think, respond
just,
to this as
it's
well.
just
Okay.
just we can make ideas, and I can tell you how it works in reality and what's maybe
I,
should be.
yeah, I'm pretty sure the people who are like there are many people who this is their job, and I'm pretty sure like we're going to be able to have access to the expertise required to come up with best solutions. But I just don't think that there is a miracle like easy solution that fixes all of this. But Jeffrey, you wanted to
No,
respond to this?
yeah, but I want to say
Yeah.
one thing.
One
I
short,
think
short.
Okay. Now we do a lot of cooperation of young agronomists going to Africa to help there. And
Mhm.
we will prefer it, from reasons that I will not say now, to do it in Iran. So you will have a lot of people, academic people that regular to work in the field, come in and help you build the projects and leave and give you to handle it.
Nice. Thank you. Okay, Jeffrey, short though, if you can.
Sure. So there's actually the the what is it? The legitimacy of dual purpose technology is very much directly correlative to the nature of the actor that possesses it. And this kind of like outlines exactly the damage the Mullah regime has caused to the Iranian people. There is any number of revolutionary technologies that could address both power and water. I typed it in there. Next gen nuclear desalination, leveraging Gen 4 reactors, lead cooled integrated fast reactors, burning MOX fuel. In this case, after said revolution, the Mullah regime is removed, comprised of fissile material pursued by the Mullah regime in their illegal nuclear weapons program, have it operate in a closed fuel cycle with on-site pyro reprocessing and post-fuel cycle ADS transmutation, underground hardened, automated, monitored by AI, and hopefully operated by a joint venture. I would contend this would be the optimal approach between the post-regime civilian government, both as it's defined by the transition period led by His Highness Prince Reza Pahlavi, and whatever civilian government Iranians ultimately choose, as well as Israeli security forces. That would allow you to produce both like cheap electricity and ungodly amounts of fresh water very quickly, right? I mean, the Iranians could have that. Tragically, because the Mullah regime, given its horrific nature, has chosen to focus on producing illegal nuclear weapons, that's denied to the Iranian people. So, I mean, there's plenty of ways to actually answer that problem. It just illustrates the nature of the Mullah regime and how that hostility is operationalized and how the Mullah regime prioritizes things. It prioritizes what? It doesn't help Iranian people. It doesn't care about feeding people. It doesn't care about any of that. It cares about ensuring its position of power, and it will indeed pursue any number of lines of effort to do so, including pursuing illegal nuclear weapons, supporting terrorists, using funding instead of on like critical infrastructure to besiege and all the rest of those crazy people to keep the Iranian people under their yoke.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay, next is Kimia.
Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Beautiful
Okay,
name, by the
perfect.
way.
Sorry. Thank you so much. Sorry, my voice is somehow gone from last week. I went to the
Oh,
protest here in my city, so I hope you guys can hear me. I
thank you.
want
Thank
to
you so much. By the way, درود به شرفت.
مرسی. تنها کاریه که میتونم بکنم. کمترین کاریه که میتونم بکنم. Anyways, let me get to my point straight quickly. I just wanted to comment on first what Amy said, because I think we need to be way more careful with using the term dictator, because I just think it's used very broadly, and people label Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi as a dictator, but and they also label Trump as a dictator. But I feel like the two things that the two people that we're talking about, the one thing they have in common is they are both very much a nationalist. We need to stop labeling people who are nationalists as dictators because both of these people, we have great examples of what they have only done to that country to just make it better. Mohammad Reza Shah, some things he did were very controversial, but that does not mean they weren't aimed at making the country a better place. We can see that now. We see that 47 years down the road, which sadly some of us who have been born into this regime now are learning through history books. Same as Donald Trump, I feel like he's the one president who I've seen in many, many years whose policies are actually aimed at lasting more than the 4 years he's in office. Whether all the other presidents we've had until now, all they've done is to gain votes in the next election just to be able to live their lives in the White House. So I believe that labeling nationalists as dictators has to change, and maybe we need to find a different term for it if we're not willing to use the term nationalist. Um, the second thing I want to mention, and it's a question to you, Armin. I wanted to know, like, how necessary is it for Khamenei to be found and to be either killed or taken or whatever his devastation may be, because historically speaking, we saw this in the Nazi Germany time when Hitler was already his regime had already collapsed before he was even found dead in his bunker. So how even necessary is that to happen? Like, I believe that yes, the fact that the US and Israel need to help the Iranian people is not a question at all right now. However, once that does happen, what are the chances of Prince Reza Pahlavi being able to enter the country once the regime has somehow fallen to its core, which means all of the heads that are currently outside of their bunkers are either dead or have deflected out of that regime and are willing to give in, even though Khamenei may just be still running around in his bunker.
Right. So that's a very good question. Um, regarding Khamenei, you know, m- um, I think it would be ideal if he doesn't die, both because of all the information that we will be getting out of him and because of the trials. Like we need that it would be having him come in a trial where he has to face justice by the Iranian people. I think would be very important, but mostly from a pragmatic reason because of all the information that we're going to be getting out of him if we catch him alive, right? However, some people mention that if he dies, it's better because it might divide Iranian people over what needs to be done to him if we catch him alive. So it's better if we just get it done and over with and kill him. I don't know if that's true because many times I've heard this will divide the Iranian people, and then it didn't. So the things that people predicted that would divide Iranians didn't divide Iranians. So this might not divide Iranians as well. But we'll see. But uh, so I mean my preference would be for us to catch him alive, for both a pragmatic reason and also an emotional reason. Emotional reasons, we want him to see that Iranian people have won, that he's facing justice, that Iran is prospering without the Islamic rule. I mean, he cares more about Islamic rule than his own life. So seeing that there is no Islamic rule over Iran would be, very, would be fitting. But that's just emotional. For a more pragmatic reason, capturing him alive, I'm pretty sure he knows things regarding, because we want to bring so many other people to justice. So being able to interrogate him will give us so much information that is very useful about bringing other people to justice. However, I think the priority, even though that's very important, I think the priority right now is to, for less people for Iran to be dying for in the path that we're on. So if anything happens, like if they just take him out and kill him, if that, that for me, a priority, for I think for all of us, a priority is less Iranians die, right? So if any option just gets us to that point faster, like if, for example, they could take him out and kill him, and that would mean that the regime, there's going to be more defections faster and less Iranians will be dying. I think we should just go with that. Like, yeah, we could be upset, like, oh, I wish we had access to him. I wish we could, he could see this or all of that. That's true. But our number one, two, three, all up to 100 priority should be to do everything and anything that will end this nightmare faster. And if that means just take him out, then just take him out, right? Um, does that before I go to Princess of Pahlavi coming back? Does that I want to make sure that I'm not going off track. Like, does that even
No,
address your question?
you're completely on track. The only thing is I fully agree with everyone wants him alive. Everyone wants this guy to go to court. We've all had so much done to us, whether it's been personally or to our families. So I just wanted to see, does him being even found, is that even necessary? Because, like, for example, Prince Reza Pahlavi can come back even if this guy is still in one of his bunkers. We don't even know where. When that regime has fallen and when his soldiers above ground are all defeated, does it really matter if we even have him found? That's what my question is. Because,
So
for example, in Hitler's
if we
case,
don't
that
have
didn't
him found,
happen.
so if he's still not neither killed or found, I would be worried about the safety of Princess of Pahlavi coming back to Iran, because Khamenei being alive means that many of the people on his side still think there is a fighting chance, and there's going to be more easily mobilized to do some like thing terror. Like I don't even like I've heard Princess of Pahlavi wants to come back to Iran even before the regime is toppled. Can you explain to me why? Like I want him to be safe. I want him to delay coming back to Iran as much as possible, because I don't want him to something I mean, it doesn't take that much force to do one terrorist activity and then take him out. I think like I want him to just stay out of Iran until everything is completely stable. What do you think?
No, but my question, I think you still don't get the whole part of it. I'm saying
Okay.
when the whole regime falls. So, for example, the only person remaining who's on Khamenei's side is Khamenei. Because let's say Israel and the US do attack Iran, and it is gonna be a very attack considering everything they have in the Middle East right now. So that attack on its own is gonna, they're already scared. They're already emptying their consulates everywhere. So that attack is going to scare them even more, I believe, to the point that all of these heads of state are either going to be dead or they're going to be uh, deflecting. They're going to go towards the regime where they feel like they have that power. And then what is Khamenei going to do on his own? Come out of his bunker with a AK-47? Like, I don't think he personally has that much power as an 86-year-old.
I don't think that we're going to see a situation where the entire regime is gone and Khamenei is still in his bunker. I think I think I think before the regime is completely toppled, we are either going to see Khamenei dead or arrested or something. Because it's not like, I mean, his wherever he is going to be easily identifiable, right? And I think he's going to be high on the list of targets. So I don't think he's going to be last. I think he's going to be ahead of most other people. I mean, even if the regime is falling, I'm pretty sure there's some people around him that would betray him. I'm almost sure the person that Khamenei trusts the most and is seeing every day is a Mossad agent. Okay, so I don't think you're gonna see him being like be the last man standing and everything else has fallen apart. I think he's going to be either the first or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, maybe I'm just being a little bit too optimistic, but I was just looking at it and comparing it to someone like Hitler, which is honestly the most dictator
Well,
political figure that you can look at. And he was
when
never
Hitler
that
died,
his
there was
whole
still some.
regime
Yeah, but when Hitler died, there was still fighting going on, right? And he killed himself. Khamenei is not going to kill himself, right? And the thing
that's
is, where Khamenei is hiding, Khamenei is not like he's an old man. He's not going to be able to his bunker or whatever. There needs to be the lights on. They need to change the air. They need to bring food. So their system needs to be able to continue for him to be able to maintain that environment, right? So that's why if the system collapses, it's not like Khamenei is going to just survive on his own. The system is maintaining his hideout and his bunker and everything. So he's not going to be able to just continue in being in his bunker without the system around him supporting him.
yeah, I completely agree now. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so
By the way,
great
guys,
segue because oh, go ahead.
can I just quickly translate two things because Kimya said Arya Mehr, Reza Muhammad Reza Shah. So Arya Mehr is a name that Iranians gave Muhammad Reza Shah, our previous Shah, which means the light of Aryans. So Arya Mehr means light of Aryans, and that's how we refer to King Muhammad Reza Shah. And Kimia means alchemy, which is Kimia's name. All right, so who's next?
So next was a question from Ziv, and it was along those lines, but he was more asking if Israel came in and either eliminated, took care of him, got rid of whatever, would this accelerate the IRGC collapse? And he also wants to know about the death penalty for the Ayatollahs.
Armin, can I
Oh, whether
quickly correct you for a second? Alchemy is the Arabic term for kimia. Kimia in Parsi, it actually stands for hard to find or nayab. So there's actually a term in Farsi for it. Alchemy is the Arabic term for it. I just wanted to make
yeah,
that clear. So we're not
yeah,
using
but it's
Arabic here.
also no, but it's not just Arabic. It's also English. I use the English word for it because people
Yes,
here
yes.
speak
No, I
English.
wanted to mention the Parsi meaning for it because
All right,
there's a
but
there's a
here's the
correct.
thing. Okay, but I just use the English term. BT, can you ask the questions again? Because when we cut the video, I want to make sure that this is not like nothing. There's nothing in between. Can you repeat the questions that I'm supposed to ask?
Yep. So next we have a question from Ziv, and he is asking about Khomeini being either eliminated or taken care of in some way, captured by Israel. Do you believe that that would accelerate the IRGC collapse? Also, what about the death penalty for the Ayatollahs?
Meaning, are we going to be executing them once we win the revolution? Is that the question?
I assume.
Is that the question? Okay. So, yes, if Khamenei is taken out by Israel or United States, that's my assumption is that that's going to increase the rate of defections by a lot, because that will be a huge signal to everybody that the game is over. Remember, right now, as we're speaking, the Islamic Republic is trying to do everything in its power to suggest that everything is normal, nothing happened, nothing to see here, everything is going, this was a terrorist activity and it's now neutralized. Because the reason why the Islamic Republic is trying to do that is because it understands that if people within the regime think that we're close to a collapse of the Islamic Republic, that is going to increase the number of defections from the Islamic Republic. So that's why they're so desperate to show that everything is normal and nothing is falling apart and the Islamic Republic is in control right now. If Khamenei is taken out, that would be a huge signal to the armed forces that okay, I think we're close to a collapse, right? And it's going to convince a lot more armed forces to start defecting because they're going to be thinking about their survival, right? So it's going to have a huge impact. This is why, even though I want Khamenei to be captured alive, I understand why we might just take him out, like want to take him out. Um, if they can capture him, taking him out to start the defections might be ideal. Unfortunately, well, it's not ideal, but it's like the best we have, right? Regarding the death penalty, um, so here's the thing: there's actually among Iranians, there's disagreements over this. A lot of Iranians. So before this massacre, the disagreement was over. Oh, we're going to be we want revenge because these people have been killing us. They've been killing, raping, torturing, and crimes that is belongs to the dark ages, not to the 21st century, right? So um a lot of Iranians get very angry when anybody suggests that we have to stop the cycle of violence and executions and think like, where did you not see what these people did to us? And even Prince Reza Pahlavi, he, for example, he said we have to have justice for everybody that committed a crime, but he also always insisted that we shouldn't be chasing revenge, right? Because even if we punish people, is for justice, not for revenge. That's part of his messaging always. um and a lot of Iranians think that even though, yeah, it makes sense that we're angry, but after the Islamic Republic falls, we have to act like a civilized nation. We have to join the modern world. Having executions um, makes us look barbaric, makes us look backwards, and we don't want to be like the Islamic Republic, right? The Islamic Republic started with a lot of executions. So if we start with a lot of executions, we're going to become closer to what the Islamic Republic is, and that's not how we want to start a nation, by having a lot of executions, right? Um, so there has been disagreements among Iranians over this. When I used to, when I was on my Persian channel doing a live stream, something that I suggested to my audience was one last symbolic execution for Khamenei, and that would be the execution to end all executions. Uh, something like that. I think they did that in Romania. They killed the dictator, and then they ended the execution after they killed him. So we might want to do that. However, I don't think right now. I think a lot of Iranians will I have no, based on what just happened, I think a lot of Iranians are thinking that execution might be too merciful, and we should basically torturing these people to death, right? Based on what they went through. Like a lot of Iranians have been radicalized in the past. I mean, justifiably. I don't want to endorse violence, but you could see where they're coming from based on what they experience. I think a lot of Iranians will are not in a position for anybody to tell them like, oh, maybe we should act more civilized, right? um a lot of Iranians are basically, I think, in a they say things that I understand, that I don't even want to repeat, but again, we have to understand where they're coming from. I honestly, I've been radicalized. Like, I have changed some of my positions based on what has happened in the past 2 weeks. But again, at the end of the day, whatever we're going to do with our justice system is going to be based on the constitution that we write and the laws that we pass in our parliament, right? So it's going to be a decision by the Iranian people. It's not going to be like a kangaroo court. it's going to be whether we execute or don't execute. I'm pretty sure we're not going to torture, so don't worry about that. We're going to be more civilized than that. But whether we're going to have capital punishment or not is going to be decided in a democratic way, but based on the Iranian people, or based on the decision by the Iranian people. Does that answer the question?
Okay, next we have Mr. Spivak. Danny?
Yesterday I saw some tweet by Neo Bar about an app called Conduit, which you can install on your device to route internet traffic through it. My understanding is that it acts like a VPN and that it's used a lot in Iran, but I'm not very familiar with it and I don't want to endorse what I don't know for sure. So my question is, does anyone know anything about this app or similar apps?
I haven't heard of it.
AM, if you're raising your hand in response to me, you can answer.
Yeah, I actually wanted to. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I wanted to say to Armin, I just received the confirmation that Hushang is alive.
Oh my God! Thank
Yeah,
you. Jesus
thankfully.
Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
One of my guys spoke with him, I think 2 nights ago. He just said he doesn't have any connection. He couldn't connect and talk to anybody.
Okay.
Which brings me
Thank
Sorry,
you.
who is
Thank
brings
you.
me
that?
to the next point.
The guy who
The
you
Somebody in
said
our
was alive?
somebody in our Persian Discord server that like was missing. And people assumed he was shot dead in Iran.
Okay, thanks God.
Yeah, and regarding to Conduit, I actually wanted to talk to you guys about that. If I can share my screen, I wanted to show a stat regarding that application. It's
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, are you guys sure of this? Because I don't want to like promote something that ends up being like, I don't know what we're promoting, and I don't want to. I want to make sure that we're not putting anyone in danger. And I haven't put any time into
I
researching
heard
this
that
or anything.
IRGC
so,
sells VPNs in Iran.
Yes, it does.
what Conduit is, it's a, I don't know if you lot know anything about torrenting. It's basically a peer-to-peer
I
connection.
know what torrenting is, but I don't, because I haven't looked into this. I don't know if I feel like, because I haven't done any research on this, I don't know if
Um,
we should be sharing it here, because then I don't know if we want to be responsible for suggesting something that ends up like getting people in danger because of their information. I know I know it's probably safe, but maybe you want to send a
um,
message to me before I could check it before you talk about it next time.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
is that okay? I hope you understand
I,
why I'm a little bit.
no,
Yeah.
of course, no. Well, the app itself it encrypts the data, and if you use any other app like WhatsApp, any message you sent through those applications, they encrypt your data as well. So even if hypothetically there was any
Yeah, but
problem with Conduit,
even if here's the thing, even some apps are even encrypted, but because they have their servers in places where the IRGC has access to, like before they get encrypted, sometimes they don't have enough security. So, for example, WhatsApp, I heard, even though they encrypt, it's not very secure. That's why some people use Signal instead of WhatsApp, because where the servers are. So sometimes the information is stored in some servers before encryption, and there are ways to access this information before it gets to the encryption level. So that's why, because I'm not sure about this. So just because
okay.
something is encrypted, it doesn't mean that it's 100% safe.
Jeffrey may have something to chime in on this. He's just raised his hand.
Okay,
Yeah,
Jeffrey.
to Armin's point, and again, Anne, this isn't something, this is not to denigrate you or the contribution you can make. I can very much understand Armin's um, hesitancy. There is no such thing as perfect security, right? There are varying levels of insecurity. So yeah, you can use things like Tor and Onion and like WhatsApp and Signal. They lower the level of insecurity. They are by no means 100%. And Armin is very correct in the sense that the Mullah regime maintains a very comprehensive cyber warfare effort. and you have to be very careful, particularly what Armin and everybody else is doing regarding the pro-Iranian protester diaspora. I mean, like members of the Mullah regime were directly following and threatened Tulsi just like 3 days ago. Right? Like that
Right.
happens. So I mean, Armin is right to be concerned. It is not to denigrate your contribution, brother.
No, no, not at all. Non taken. It's just, well, the priority to my eyes right now is the fact that we need to get people connected to their loved ones, to say that they are alive, to say that they're well. And an app like this, and this stats that I just wanted to tell is that it's doing its part, and there are about 46,000 people right now as we speak, about 46,000 people that are connected through Siphon. Um, yeah, but well, of course, if you lot want to do, if Armin wants to do more checks on that, be sure that it's safe, then that's absolutely understandable.
You could also post that into our community, and maybe people could look into it. Maybe Jeffrey, would you be able to look into it a little bit if AM posts it in the community group tab?
I mean,
You're muted.
I have some training in it, not to the depth that would make
Do you
me
know
comfortable
Do you
make
know
it.
anybody that could look into it? Maybe.
I can ask around. I mean,
Okay.
I only have so much bandwidth, brother. I'll
Yeah.
try.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. You're already doing so much. So sorry for
No,
yeah.
no, Armin, it's not me being mean. I'm just letting you know about the limitations, right? If I
The
have time, I
limitation.
will
Yeah.
do so. I'll
That's.
ask around.
Thank you.
Real
All right.
quickly, who might help is Francisco. He's one you might want
Oh,
to ask.
okay. That's a good one.
Yeah, and just the last point I wanted to make, Armin, I have sent you new videos that I recorded today in our demonstrations in Germany, and also
Uh,
another story that of someone in Iran, which I've sent you, and I'll also translate it for you in case you wanted to share it when you
okay.
go back.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you. By the way,
Next
no
we have,
promises of. Yeah.
go
Go.
ahead.
Sorry. No. Go ahead.
We have D Dom.
Hi, good evening. I wanted to actually ask it in the chat, but I'm not sure. I wasn't following. Like, I just wanted Armin ask on your thoughts on exposing the IRGC archives once the regime falls. Do you think it will like help preventing such stuff and also like
Help what?
debunking all the sorry?
You said it will help what? Sorry, I missed the part.
Prevent like further Islamist occupation of Iran
Oh.
and or not Iran but maybe any other country who is vulnerable to that.
Yeah,
And
of course. Very much. Iranian people have been very much eager to there's so many discussions regarding what they want to get their hands on and where they are. Like we have had years of discussion over what we're going to do and which information we're going to dig out and what are we going to look for once we get access to these documents and these files. So we have been fantasizing about getting access to these documents for years. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also a quick course to history. Want to do it really quick. How much is it possible? Um, then I tell why I want to tell such story. Like in the beginning of Soviet Union, they had a lot of opposition, a lot of Tsarist generals who was like fleeing from Russia after the revolution, and some of those generals had a lot of like popularity and political ambitions. And there is one famous case of the KGB setting up a big operation to get such one general. I don't remember the name, and the thing isn't so important right now. But they made uh, a big like crowd who was like going and chanting his name and doing everything to be looking like they are very pro this general, and sorry, I don't hear you.
I mean, I can see your
Oh, sorry,
vision, but
sorry. I was saying, can you tell me what the main point of this, because I think
The
I'm
main
missing it.
point, the main point is he was convinced. He came to Russia, and they actually arrested him and executed him. So my
Oh,
point is, I really hope that that case isn't what is playing around with Pahlavi.
oh, yeah. Okay, so you're hoping that there's not a plan to kill Pahlavi. Okay, yeah. I hope so too, and I hope that the team around him. I hope he's getting a lot of good information from United States and Israeli intelligence. So to be careful about that, and I think that he is. So I'm I, um, I think that Mossad and CIA are tracking everything, and I think if there's any plot to try to assassinate him, they would give him the information. I mean, that's what I think that is happening, and that's what I'm hope is happening.
Yeah,
So
Mossad is
that
a
gives
strong
me a little.
organization, but like you can't like trust them like
Just
they're
one
absolute
thing that
force.
one thing that makes me feel a little bit better is that the Islamic Republic has planned so many assassinations in the past couple of years, and every single one of them was failed and stopped. So that gives me some level of. But again, yeah. But I am worried. And you should be. We should be too. So yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Next, Khaisher.
Khashayar.
Yes. How
Xerxes.
are you guys?
Khashayar
Can
is
you hear me?
Xerxes in English, right?
Yeah, I was named after, it was my namesake. Actually, a little bit about me. I actually was born in Esfahan. My family's from Tehran. We escaped because my grandfather was the commander in the Artish for the Shah. So when the revolution happened, um, basically they were going door to door, all the quote unquote revolutionaries, and executing bloodlines. So we actually had to escape, and we came to Canada. I'm in Canada now, which ties into my real main question is, so Canada a couple of years ago passed that law or whatever that they were going to go that harshest thing, sanctions on all the incoming people from Iran tied to the IRGC and all that other stuff. Never saw anything about that. Trump is supposed to be deporting all the families tomorrow, as per what the reporting is, and he's saying that he's going to move on that. We've closed all the embassies in Europe, and they seem to be doing really not much in terms of starting any sort of like a deportation thing in terms of closing actual, sorry, embassies, rather than they just designated them terrorists. But at what point is the Canadian government, you think, going to actually step up, one, and actually say something meaningful, two, do something meaningful?
So the embassies have not been closed in Europe, right? That's what you meant to say, because that's what I've heard.
Well, the thing is, like they did that. What was that thing they said a couple of years back, where they said they were going to do the that thing that they did for the Bosnians and all that other stuff during the fall of Yugoslavia, where they put those heavy sanctions on the regime there and all that other stuff. With the IRGC, they haven't. There's plenty of documentation of people still here that are tied to the IRGC. Like they've really done nothing to take anyone
Yeah.
out.
So yeah, exactly. It's shameful, and we're never going to forget this. And I think basically we have a Nazi-like regime in Iran right now, and these countries are still wanting to make sure that they have left the door open to have relationship with them, just in case, because they, first of all, they haven't been convinced that the Islamic Republic is going to be toppled, and they still value their relationship that they have with the Islamic Republic more than the lives of the Iranian people. That's what this is. They think that, well, the Islamic Republic has oil and gas, and it's in a very strategic area. And so just remember that when they talk about human rights and caring about human rights, it's all bullshit. They only use that as virtue signaling, because when it comes to actually doing something meaningful to save people's lives, they think about their own, you know, they're thinking about, the interest that they might have with the Islamic Republic. So and they go blame other countries like United States and Israel for prioritizing their national interests over human rights. But look at this, they are actually trying to continue to maintain a relationship with the worst regime that is out there,
Well,
just because they're
that's what I
afraid
was
of.
saying. Sorry I didn't mean to cut
Yeah.
you off. Just the one last thing.
No,
So
go ahead.
that's the whole thing. You brought up the oil and gas, and I think that's what Trump did. I think a lot of people missed it because it's Tusi says this a lot, where he says, "Don't focus on what he's saying. Focus on how serious he is about something." I think he
Hmm.
took out Venezuela, so then he had oil supply. So if even if they close Hormuz, they got nothing because he can backstop it from his end. Then they can go into thing like right now. Tusi was saying that the Royal Air Force is coming in, so they're doing a whole coalition thing. So everything I think that's happening around Trump and he's becoming so volatile is actually a misdirection of he just shamed the British Army into joining by saying they don't do anything for NATO. You see what I mean? Like everything he's doing is moving strategically that way, and I just wish that the Canadian government would step up and just do something rather than make friends with basically the enemies of the world right now because they're becoming an enemy to Trump because they got that Trump derangement syndrome and all that other stuff they say.
Right. Regarding Venezuela and the oil, I don't. The Islamic Republic is not in a position to shut down oil coming out of the Hormuz Strait. They would basic that would be their last hour of existence. They rely on that oil money and gas money. Everything they do costs money. If they shut down the Hormuz Strait before the rest of the world even feels the pain from shutting down the Hormuz Strait, the Islamic Republic itself is like, oh, I'm going to shoot myself in the head to make some of the blood stain your coat or something. That's what there's like. Yeah, shutting down the. I just came up with an analogy. Shutting down the Hormuz Strait is like, oh, I'm gonna shoot myself in the head so that the blood that comes out of my head is going to basically stain your clothes. It will end the Islamic Republic right away. That's their entire revenue. How are they going to do that?
Well,
Right?
I think it's because it would have put the pressure on the national on everybody around, right? To put pressure on the U.S. to not invade as a threat to say we're going to
Yeah,
shut off
but
their
it's
oil
an
supply.
empty threat. It's an
Of course,
empty
like everything
threat
else they
because
do. Like,
yes. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But you don't. I'm saying you don't need Venezuelan oil to fight against that because the Islamic Republic needs the oil money and gas money more than the rest of the world needs that oil and gas. I mean, the rest of the world needs the oil and gas, but the Islamic Republic is more reliant on the revenue from the oil and gas more than the rest of the world is reliant on the oil and gas. So it's an empty threat.
I just hope that at the end of all this, like you said, we don't forget who hurt us. I'm looking at the
Yes.
UK, I'm looking at France, I'm looking at the Carter administration, like the Democrats in the US, I'm looking at the Canadians who had a whole Ukrainian flight bombed and still haven't done anything about it. Like it's embarrassing. So, anyways, we'll leave it there.
I'm sorry.
I think the calculation is that these are lesser powers now, right? And Canada and Europe are so reliant on the world order the United States provides that even Canada, like moving towards China, that's also an empty threat because you cannot replace America with China. Okay, you cannot replace that. Like Canada would not even be a viable country. I mean, most European countries would not be a viable countries without American support, without the security that America provides, right? So I think all of these international order and all of these international laws that people have been using, it made sense for America for at the time. America, even though it has been a superpower for a long time, the distance between its powers and European countries and Canada is now bigger than it used to be. So there was a time that America needed its allies to basically maintain order more than before. But now, because the gap is bigger, I mean, what is NATO? NATO is America, okay? It's right.
Yeah,
So
I
if
guess.
NATO
Yeah,
is
you're right.
America, if NATO is America, I mean, I'm exaggerating. right? But like,
Mhm.
can they survive without America? I think
No, I
that
don't think I don't think any
given how,
militarily no one can. But for me, it's
yeah,
all that other stuff, right? It's just virtue signaling. It's the same thing with the Palestinian cause, and now they don't care about Iranians because, well, we fund them. You know, like the not
no,
we, the regime
but
funds their cause, so they don't want them to fall because they lose their funding, right? So it's like
yeah, but my
we're
point is,
sitting here like,
no, yeah, sorry, but
go
I
ahead,
was
sir.
the point. No, no, sorry. The point that I was trying to make is that the when we talk about international law the world order as we know it, we have to understand that it exists only because America wanted it to exist. So it will be used because America is paying the price for it to be there. It has to make sense for America, or else it would not be supported. So America was supporting it for a long time when it was benefiting from all of these allies contributing to the world order that America had in mind. And now that they have turned into leeches rather than contributors, then America is moving away from not completely, it's a spectrum, is slightly moving away from backing these standards and this world order into an more transparently and more obviously American led order rather than one that was being done with the Canadians and the Europeans.
Just one last thing, just to lighten the mood a little bit. You and Goldie talk about making T-shirts and all this other stuff. I had an idea. I tried to put it in the chat there. So we called
I
Soleimani the Kotlet. You can make
Yeah.
a thing into Nun Khamenei.
Oh,
Make him
okay.
into a Nun Khamenei.
Yeah, okay, okay. I
All
actually
right.
haven't been talking about merch. I should have been, but I have been so behind on that. But I should be talking about that at some point. But yeah, thank you. I'll come. I want to make a gargots. I want to make a gargotry t-shirt for protecting Jewish people. But anyways, that's
All
for later.
right. All right. Thank you, guys.
If Israel
Thank you.
itself does not gift you a Garkod tree, then I will as soon as you get into a free Iran. Next,
Thank
we
you.
have Mr. Jeffrey.
Yeah, I just want to touch on some of the points I brought, maybe help tighten the shock group. It's very true that the radical left hijacked, historically during the Soviet era of the Cold War via Soviet active measures, hijacked civil and human rights to kind of grievance wash their sedition. That's very true. You see that being borne out. You can see examples of that, right, with regards to what occurred in the civil rights movement in the United States in the 50s and early 60s and how that was transformed, co-opted, warped, and weaponized by radical leftists in the mid-late 60s, right? And the focus of it. You're seeing abroad with regards to the issue we're talking about, a lot of leftists in the United States or fellow travelers via their positions in media were very facilitative in amplifying Soviet active measures designed to delegitimize the Shah. And that set the groundwork for the Red Black Alliance to take down the Shah and destroy the Shah's bold attempt at, you know, leading Iran into a period of tolerant modernity. That now you're seeing being done in the contemporary, within what's going on today. You and Goldie actually mentioned, Goldie did a good job on this when she talked about the role that, identifying link analysis regarding the red green alliance. And she talked about the co-aligned elements in the West, specifically when she cited what occurred out of Georgetown. I went to Georgetown. In the previous podcast you guys did and said, well, see what that person in the mainstream media cited, he cited Georgetown. And she knows some of the elements at Georgetown via either being directly funded by and or ideologically co-aligned with the mullah regime, put out advocacy research to run interference for the mullahs. So what do? The best thing you can do, and you guys are doing this, you, Goldie, Tulsi, people in this room, identify via link analysis those co-aligned elements in the West so that in fleshing out how they're running interference for the mullah regime and then put them on blast, make sure everything's cited so people know the nature of where that poisoned information is coming from. As far as the United States, so the Strait of Hormuz, the mullah regime, it's right. You're not wrong, Armin. The mullah regime's lifeblood, one of its main lifeblood is the oil export. That said, if they know they're done, they'll probably do it no matter what as a means of last FU, right? They go down the S-curve prospect theory.
For
And then
half a second.
Hold on, hear
Half
me
a
out, hear me out.
second.
So there's definitely plans on the Mueller regime, definitely has plans on shorting out or blocking the Strait of Hormuz. I promise you we have ways to resolve that very quickly. And not for nothing, the reason why President Trump rightly went after Maduro, I wrote one of the reports that underwrote the calculation anyway, is that the violent Marxist Maduro regime that occupied Venezuela had direct organization, operational ties both with Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, the Chinese Communist Party, and the Mullah regime, particularly serving as a focal point where the Mullah regime, via their dark fleet, would be able to circumvent sanctions and export their oil. And so when Donald removed Maduro, he cut that off. That was the beginnings of deconstructing the Mullah regime. So, I mean, I just wanted to add that observation for people in case, to help them get their head around it a little. Hopefully it helps anyway.
I mean, it's not going to cause that much disruption in the oil market if the mullahs disrupt the oil and gas coming out of the Persian Gulf for half a day, right? So, yeah.
Okay, a
Right.
timing reminder. It is 15 after the hour, and next is Rebecca.
I have a question and then an idea. So my question is, is it a fact, hearsay, or some kind of opposition propaganda that Khomeini was or is a Russian plant?
Khamenei was a Russian plant? That's a conspiracy theory by Fakhravar. So the guy that Goldie and I showed on the show, there's a crazy lunatic who is competing with Princess of Pahlavi to be the leader of the opposition against the Islamic Republic. His name is Amir Abbas Fakhravar. He thinks he's the Thomas Jefferson of Iran, so that's why we call him Abbas Jefferson. He's kind of crazy. He has the crazy. He's kind of like the other guy from Restart that we showed you. He has wrote a book. I forgot what his name is. He thinks it's the most popular book in the world.
Khomeini or something like that.
I don't know. I don't forget what his book name is, but he thinks it's the most popular book in the world. I had him on my show, and he said this book is like the most widely read book or whatever. And then I showed that the book I wrote had more reviews on Amazon than his. So how is this book so worldwide famous? My book is more read, but he got very offended by that. But he put that conspiracy out there. I mean, not to dismiss the toxic, destructive influence of the Russian government and their support for the Islamic Republic. I don't want to dismiss that. That has been very, very and this is why Iranian people justifiably are very angry with the Russian government, and they see it as their enemy, and not just during the Islamic Republic, but also before. Like the Iranian people have a really negative views of Russian governments because of the records of. I mean, even before Putin, the Soviet Union was constantly. I mean, this is actually everything. So here's the thing: Khamenei himself is not a Russian plant. However, the Islamic Republic started because the commies united with the Islamists and did the Islamic Revolution of 1979. When where did the commies came from? From the Soviet Union. The commies were Russian plants inside Iran who ended up causing the Islamist leftist alliance that caused the Islamic Republic. So if you want to blame the Russians for something, blame them like that. It's more historic. Like it started way before Khamenei.
Got it. Excuse my ignorance. So here's the idea section. Okay. So you know how some content creators organize tours, right, for their members, for channel members.
Okay.
Once the dust settles in Iran, if you organize a tour, I'll join you, and I work as a massage therapist. I'll give free massages to everyone who fought in the revolution, as much as my hands can give.
Oh, you're so sweet, Rebecca. Thank you. That's very sweet. Okay,
Okay.
you have such a kind heart. Thank you, thank you.
Organize a tour. I'll come.
Rebecca's
I'm saving up. I'm already checking flights. Okay.
okay. Rebecca's
Stay
sitting
well.
thinking how a cut. Rebecca, like what's adorable, what's very sweet is that the fact that I imagine you thinking like, okay, what can I do to help? These are my skills. How could I contribute? That is so heartwarming and sweet, and I really appreciate you just even thinking about that. So thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome. Organize a tour, please. Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Before we move on, Armin, my uncle has a question. Did yesterday's session get deleted?
No.
No. Okay. If not, he has sent you. Oh, somebody moved in the chat. He has sent you a message about it.
Yeah. So the guys, the parts that the reason why I'm not posting the full section in the group is because my time is very limited. I will go back to that soon to put the segments that we're putting on YouTube. I'm not deciding where we cut. AI is deciding that. Okay. So it's all being decided by AI for some reason. And so those are the segments that we're putting out there, but I know like some people want to have access to the full version. I am uploading them on this new YouTube channel that I made. So I called it World Liberty Army. I think that's what I called it. Yep. Can't type. Yes. So I'm gonna upload all our videos on this YouTube channel, like the full discussion. So I think the one that Uncle is looking for should be there as well. There are no subscribers here. I'm just using it as a way to just make sure that we have all our videos there. But I will at some
Okay.
point I will also post them on our community tab again.
He said no problem and no rush, but thank you for the link. And up next, we have Sabina.
Did you say me?
Yes.
Okay, so I have two questions. My first, I guess, is about strategy. The I think it's very clear that Reza Pahlavi is one of the best things for Iran, and I've been trying to counter objections to him by uh, sharing the PDF of the emergency plan from the Iran
So Sabina,
prosperity.
your audio there's an issue with your audio. Is it for
Oh,
me or is it for other people as well? Are
I
other
hear it.
people
It's
having
fine.
audio?
Good for me.
Okay. So Sabina,
um,
if you don't mind, can you write down your question in the chat because we're having audio issues.
okay.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the next person, and then maybe we
Yeah.
could
In the
come back to
meantime,
Sabina's question.
um,
Yeah.
Dingle, you're next, and then I will keep an eye for that question. By the way, you have 39 minutes to the hour.
Okay. I think somebody's saying in the chat that Sabina, did you buy your microphone from Digital? That's a good one.
Okay. Dingleberry, last call. Okay. Next is MM.
MN.
Okay. AM.
AM. I think he's still here.
We
No.
we are jamming through this
Hello.
list. I'll tell you right now.
Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, MM is
I
MM
was
is back.
muted. Yes. Hi, John. First of all, I would like to add something regarding the Russia. So it goes back to the Gaja dynasty, when we had Turkmenchai, the treaty, and Golestan treaty, which was actually the two territories that Russia annexed some parts of Iran, which today is Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia. that just I wanted to add, just to let people know regarding that, and
Yeah.
also in the Gajra dynasty, the Russia actually we had some the war with Russia, which one of them was in Iran, and also in the Iran Azerbaijan, which Mirza Kuchekhan and Sattarkhan, they were actually the leaders of those wars
Okay.
against the Russia. But my question
I,
is that I heard you, Armin, on the Goldie channel yesterday. You were talking, you mentioned just briefly regarding the Georgetown declaration. Today I researched about it and just watched 3 hours of the press conference from 3 years ago, which actually 6 or 8 leaders of the that
your
movement.
audio quality is very low. I'm having a hard time understanding it, but try to
Oh, oh,
get to the point.
okay. Just could you please explain why the did people like Masih Ali Nejad fell out with the Prince, Crown Prince Reza Shah? Could you explain it, please, for me? Thanks.
Okay, okay. So you're talking about Georgetown. So after the Master Revolution, the Iranian people were very, very much eager for all the main people who were prominent within the opposition against Islamic Republic to sit together and work with each other against Islamic Republic, right? And some monarchists at that point were against this because to those monarchists, we don't need. It seemed like we were coming up with a coalition of leaders, and the monarchists at that point were saying that this is an attempt. Their understanding was that the leader that Iran needs is Prince Reza Pahlavi, and by having a coalition of leaders, we're basically uh, re- dismissing his position, and basically um, we are making these other people seem as relevant or as worthy of leadership as Princess of Pahlavi by having them sit next to Princess of Pahlavi, right? But that was at that point. But most people didn't see it at that point. Not most people. Many people didn't see it like that. Many people at that point thought Princess of Pahlavi is good, Masih Ali Najad is good, Abdullah Muhtadi is good, Hamid Ismailian is good, and some other people. But mostly these four people, they got together and they created a coalition of leaders. And at that time, I remember some monarchists were even upset with Princess of Pahlavi, which actually shows that they're not blind followers. A lot of people think that the supporters of Princess of Pahlavi are like cultish people who follow him blindly. But I remember specifically at that time that they were criticizing him. That why are you sitting next to these people? Especially people like Abdullah Muhtadi, who is an anti-nationalist, in line with Kurdish separatists, right? Masih Alinejad had a history of things that were had she had done many things that were questionable, including working with and sitting next to Kurdish separatists. Hamid Ismailian has ties to the reformers and MEK, and Abdullah Muhtadi was the worst one. But at that point, the Iranian people didn't see these details like the way that the monarchists did. And they were so encouraged by all of these people sitting next to each other and creating a coalition of leaders, right? Something that made some monarchists didn't want. Some monarchists wanted Princess of Pahlavi to be the only leader, right? And the leftist people were saying, no, there needs to be a coalition of leaders for us to be diverse and open to many different groups of people. The monarchist arguments were like, yeah, we could be open to many groups of people under the leadership of Princess of Pahlavi. And their argument was that most revolutions are successful because there's one leader that everybody unites with. Like there's not that many revolutions in history where you have multiple leaders leading the revolution. There's usually one main leader that everybody uses as a way to come together and unite on. Right? That was their understanding. And here's it. But Princess of Pahlavi, he's not going to just listen to some monarchists. Princess of Pahlavi wants to, when he does something, is based on what most Iranian people want. So at that point, even though some monarchists were criticizing him, given how much demand there was for these people to sit next to each other, he said he accepted it and he sat next to these people and they created a coalition. The thing is that once the um, Mansour, once the, what is it called, the declaration uh, of this coalition came out, it was a bombshell. Like I remember those days because we were having live stream after live stream. It was so unpatriotic. It had no respect for border integrity. And we were wondering if Abdullah Muhtadi was the only person that was involved in writing this, right? And soon after they came out, so many people were turned against this coalition based on what the declaration was about. And eventually, and there was an audio leak that showed Abdullah Muhtadi was proud of the fact that he removed all nationalist and patriotic language from the declaration, which it was a moment of vindication for us because that's exactly, we thought that Abdullah Muhtadi has written it, and it seemed like that was true based on the audio leak. So our guess actually was true. So a lot of people turned against the coalition. And here's the thing, Princess of Pahlavi didn't turn against any of the people in the coalition. The first person that started throwing stones at other people, at the members of coalition, was Hamid Ismailion, and then Masih Ali Najad. Masih Ali Najad would come to Iran International, and she was constantly speak against Princess of Pahlavi, even though Princess of Pahlavi didn't take any positions against her. Masih Ali Najad, everyone's understanding correctly, is that she is not in it for helping the Iranian people. She's in it for being seen the most. She wants to be the most popular, and she's competing with Princess of Pahlavi. And the only reason why she was sitting next to Princess of Pahlavi, it was to use her Princess of Pahlavi's popularity, um, and his position among the minds and hearts of the Iranian people as a ladder to make herself to grow. And we thought that about her, and now we also have been vindicated over that. Over in this revolution, we could see that Masih Ali Najad is so, she doesn't like she's so seeing this as a competition for who's the most popular, that when Iranian people were in the streets risking their lives and dying to shout out the name Pahlavi in the streets of Iran, when she was posting their videos and pictures, she would cherry pick the ones that didn't mention Javid Shah or Pahlavi will return. It was getting so outrageous that she was being called out by so many Iranians, that Iranian people are in the streets calling Pahlavi, and you're only picking the videos from the chance that suggest that people are saying death to Khamenei, death to the dictator, or death to the Islamic Republic, but nothing about Pahlavi, which shows how the grudge that she has and how much it pains her to show that the Iranian people are calling for Pahlavi. But then eventually, when she was called out, she put a few out that mentioned Javid Shah, but only a few because she was being called out. But you also saw when she came to the United Nations Security Council to represent the Iranian people, even though she doesn't, um, she didn't mention Pahlavi at all. Even though this entire revolution is about bringing Pahlavi back to Iran, when she was supposedly representing the Iranian people at the United Nations Security Council, I don't know who decided that she's the one who should be there to speak on our behalf. Not a single time she mentioned Pahlavi, which is the most important part of this revolution. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And also, I know Masih Alinejad since 2008 when she was in Iran, and then in the Green Revolution, she went out of Iran to
Sure.
Malaysia, something like that. Yes, and
Yes, yes.
she's
That's how.
actually an opportunity. I believe that she's just an opportunist, and she just
She's a grifter.
Yeah, exactly. She's after just the benefits and as you said, she likes to be seen. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the explanation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Can I get some clarity? Is Mythic Minx and MM the same user?
No, no, no.
Okay.
Mine is
Okay.
just as it's got
Okay. Okay.
water lily.
Just a
Sure.
small, just a
Okay.
small clarification. Thank you. Yeah.
Mythic Minx, I don't see you here anymore, but if you are, speak now.
He's not here.
Okay, very good. Samantha and then D Dom, and those are our remaining two.
Oh, I just wanted to make mention I'm making a list of Psych2Go videos that are in Persian that I think might be especially helpful for people in Iran that I'm gonna put in the schooly like group.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you. Okay, you're very supportive. Thank you. I saw you post a link and I clicked on them, and it was like about how to check yourself if you're in a like if you are in a to do a mental check on where you are mentally. So it's so I you're one of the sweetest people I know, Samantha. You're going
Mm.
around and looking Persian videos on advice on how to be on a for Iranians to check their mental
Mhm.
situation and how to take care of their mental health, and posting the links here. That is so sweet. Like, honestly,
Mhm.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy to know you. I'm so grateful to know you.
Yeah, thank you for always just being so nice.
No, you're nicer than me. That's amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Daniel Dome, last on the list.
A real quick one. Khashoggi beforehand told that the embassies of Iran, the Islamic Republic are closed in Europe. Is that correct, or
No,
it
they're
was
not.
just
No, I
uh,
think they're not. No, they're still open,
well, okay
which
then.
is a shame. It's shameful. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got the question from Sabina when you're ready.
Okay, let's do that.
It was about trying to address objections to Reza Pahlavi with the Iran Prosperity Project off of the emergency plan. And so that was the method being used against Pahlavi objections. She was using the Iran Prosperity
Mm.
Project. And the second part about this was about reporting that says the IRGC is harvesting organs for sale on the black market from protesters' bodies. Can you touch on that?
I actually haven't heard that. I don't even know if that's true. So I have to look into that. I yeah, I don't know if that's true.
It
So
won't
if that is
surprise
true,
though.
that's new. Yeah, I mean, based on what we saw in the past 2 weeks, I was gonna say that I would be surprised, but then in the past 2 weeks, I would not be actually be surprised. Like, we have, like, guys, the Islamic Republic is evil, but the past 2 weeks is a different level of evil than even we Iranians are used to. Like, a lot of you might think, like, oh, Iranians must have been, based on the experience that we have had with the Islamic Republic in the past 47 years. This must be for Iranians. They must be like, oh yeah, of course they would do this. No. Okay, yes, the Islamic Republic has been very evil, but these past 2 weeks is on such a different level that it's not even normal for us. Like, this is not normal for us. This is
It's a
new.
Hamas
This is a new
playbook.
level.
It was a Hamas playbook. It was a KGB playbook. It's just those types of regime playbook, like when they got really messy.
There's a difference between what the IRGC is doing right now and Hamas. So when Hamas was killing in men, women, and children on October 7th, what they were experiencing at the type of killing, it was pure rage, right? So when they were killing that Jewish child, it was they were enjoying it because they got their hands on a Jew, right? Like this was
Yeah.
something that they were, right? It's pure rage for Jews and hatred for Jews, right? But what the
Yeah.
IRGC right now is experiencing is pure fear. If they're committing violence right now, is their calculation in their mind is how could I make these people scared enough for them to stop, right? Because they're thinking that this might be the end of them, and they're trying to use terror as a way to make it stop. So they're experiencing right now, what they're experiencing the most right now is fear, which the
Yeah,
results
I
are the
just
same though. But yeah,
no
I
no
mean,
I
I'm not
don't say
negating you. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not negating you. Yeah.
It's just a type of the outcome, not the reason why do they do that.
Yeah, no, I wasn't disagreeing with you. I just wanted to add something to what you're saying, right? And also with regards to using the IPP as a way to respond to people criticizing Princess of Pahlavi, I think that's a fantastic idea, right? So, um, like the Iran Prosperity Project, especially the emergency booklet, the emergency booklet of the Iran Prosperity Project. Anybody who reads that will know, like, will have a really good understanding of why most of the criticism against all of the criticism against Professor Pahlavi are invalid. And here's a nice trick that you could have. I mean, the most important part is the foreign policy section. But if you for democracy, actually no, because there's important parts that are relevant to whether or not he's going to be a dictator or not. But one thing you could do is you could go to ChatGPT or Gemini and upload the PDF, and then if you have any questions about it, just ask. So upload the PDF and say, well, like, who is going to be leading Iran after the transition period according to this booklet? How is this decided? What are their policies towards Israel? What are their policies towards like the neighboring countries? So that's a way, if you want to know anything about Princess of Pahlavi's plan after the regime falls, that's a good hack. Okay.
Okay, and our final question is going to come from Philippe.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. So I was, as an Egyptian, fantasizing today what secular Iran what kind of influence it would have on countries like Syria, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iraq, and I don't know, in 5, 10 years, whether Egypt would ever feel a difference, or would it be a kind of like it would be good for Iranians? Maybe no terrorism, but it would just be good for Iranians, and others would just continue down their black hole.
Right. So that's a very good question. So we have to when it comes to the influence, we have to separate the governments from the people. Okay. I think for the people, a free Iran will be beneficial to everybody around the world, right? Especially because the Islamic Republic is part of the problem, actually a major source of the problem for everything in the Middle East, everything around the Middle East. Like the rise of Islamism, even the Sunni Islamism, is because of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. A lot of people don't know this. So when the 1979 Islamic Revolution happened, the Khomeini started exporting his ideology beyond the border, because for Khomeini this was not an Iranian revolution. This was an Islamic revolution, and Khomeini did not believe in borders of a nation state. He doesn't even believe in a nation state, so he doesn't believe in Iran's borders. So he was trying to create an Islamic empire, and he wanted to continue the revolution beyond borders of Iran. So this is why the Khomeini started creating so many proxies around the world. Like Hezbollah started like this, right? So many different Shia groups, because they were trying to, and this is why they expected the Shias in Iraq to join Khomeini, which they didn't. But again, long story short, he started to try to convince Muslims around the world to join the Islamic revolution of Khomeini, right? To basically all of them to unite again with each other under the umbrella of Islam, nothing to do with Iran. Khomeini is famous for saying he's against nationalism, and he said people who are saying that I'm Iranian first, Muslim second, they are not Muslim at all. He was very, very much openly anti-nationalism, anti-patriotism. So because he did that, the Saudi Arabia was panicking because Khomeini started broadcasting revolutionary messages in Arabic to Shias in Saudi Arabia right after the revolution. And if you know anything about Saudi Arabia's Shia areas, it's exactly where all the oil is, right? All the oil in Saudi Arabia is well, most of it is where the Shia minorities of Saudi Arabia are gathered, right? So Saudi Arabia has been living in a nightmare for 47 years, fearing that at some point this Islamic revolution in Iran is going to cause an Islamic revolution in Saudi Arabia. That's why in 1979, like I don't know if you guys know this, but the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia were inspired by Khomeini, and they started attacking the Kaaba. There was a bloodbath in Kaaba, right? And the Saudi police came in, and they started shooting. The Saudis were shooting at the Wahhabis at the inside the Kaaba. There was a bloodbath inside the house of God in 1979, the same year the revolution happened, because they were inspired by it, right? They killed them all. However, the Saudis were so afraid that they stopped westernization. A lot of people are looking at the westernization that is happening right now in Saudi Arabia. They were trying to do this in the 1970s, but they put a stop to it because they're like, okay, we need to remarry the Wahhabis. So Saudi Arabia is a marriage between the House of Saud and the House of Wahhab. They tried to divorce them in the 1970s, but they saw that they're too crazy, so they remarried them. So they Islamized everything again, and they stopped westernizing things. And now they're reattempting a divorce. The House of Saud is reattempting a divorce with the House of Wahhab. So the reason why you see so many, Al Qaeda, ISIS, Boko Haram, or like all of these Sunni different groups around the world is because the Saudis started exporting Wahhabism all around the world in response to Khomeini exporting his Vilayat Faqih version of 12 verse Shia Islam all around the world. So they were competing with Khomeini. So, for example, in Pakistan, if you look at the number of mosques in Pakistan, it's like a hockey stick, and you can see it goes up exactly in 1979 because they were all built by Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia starts building madrasas and mosques in Pakistan, Malaysia, Indonesia, everywhere, and they start spreading Wahhabism all around the world. And that caused all of this Islamic terrorism around the world. It was in response to the Shia uh, Islamic revolution in Iran. So, what I'm trying to get at is that, in the same sense that Iran became the source of all of this mess, once Iran becomes a secular democracy, first of all of this will stop. But in the same sense, Iran will start becoming part of a solution. So just in the same way that is the Islamization of Iran caused a mess in the Middle East and all around the world, once Iran goes to classical liberal values and becomes a secular democracy, it will become a source of these values for the entire region. It would be the opposite of, it would be as influential but in a positive way. And I think you will start to see Iranian people being a source against Islamization, not just inside Iran but everywhere in the Middle East and maybe even beyond that. But I forgot your question. Am I even answering your
No,
question?
it's
Okay.
exactly, yeah. It's just more reasons for me to keep fantasizing every day for a couple of minutes.
Yes, yes. Um,
Thank
yeah, yeah. By the way, not that I do admire secular and anti-Islamic activists in the rest of the Middle East and the Arab world. Like, I don't want to dismiss what they're doing as well. Like, but I think we always get inspired by each other. I also want to give credit to the YouTube scene of like anti-Islamic Arabic YouTube environment, which has grown so significantly. And I don't know if you guys know this, but if you make an anti-Islamic YouTube video in Arabic, it usually does really, really well because Arab-speaking people are really thirsty for anti-Islamic content. So that's a positive sign too for the future.
Okay, so now we have about 12 minutes before the hour. A reminder that
January
you
2nd.
save some time for non-recorded questions. Sammy did raise his hand in the last minute or so. So that'll be the last person we take recorded.
Sammy?
Like to ask what would be the future for Zoroastrian minority in Iran? What do you see?
They will be protected. They will stop being abused. Okay, so Zoroastrianism in Iran there's two different things about Zoroastrianism in Iran that you have to understand. One is the Zoroastrian minority who actually practice the religion and officially are Zoroastrians. Okay, and then there's everyone else who are patriotic and nationalist, who are not Zoroastrian, but they love everything about Zoroastrian symbolism and anything that is Zoroastrian just because it represents their ancient culture, and is Zoroastrianism for non-Zoroastrian patriotic Iranians. Zoroastrian texts, Zoroastrian symbols are a representative pa- uh, of their ancient history and culture, and the symbols of Zoroastrianism have turned into uh, nationalistic symbols, even if you're not a Zoroastrian, right? But then other than that, we have people who are officially Zoroastrian and practice Zoroastrianism, and they are mistreated in Iran. One of the most uh, is the government in Iran. Well, not the government, the regime, the occupying force in Iran always tries to intimidate Zoroastrians to convert to Islam, and Zoroastrianism has shrunk in Iran because there's so many. Like you're not you're. It's really hard to get a job if you're Zoroastrian. They won't give you the jobs, like and also in the university entrance exam, if you're a Zoroastrian or Baha'i or whatever else, not a Shia Muslim, you're going to be some you're going to your ranking is going to be lowered. So we have the university entrance exam in Iran is very, very competitive, and for many Iranians, it's a difference maker between whether they're going to be poor or be able to make some sort of a living, right? If you are a Zoroastrian, if your ranking in the was, for example, 5,000 out of the million people who participated, then they're going to treat you like a ranking is, for example, I don't know, 20,000, 50,000, and you're going to not enter the university that you want just because you're Zoroastrian. So what that does is that encourages you to go officially announce that you're a Shia Muslim, so that you don't have all of these disadvantages. So that's why the Zoroastrian, but it's actually impressive that we still have a Zoroastrian minority in Iran, because we have people who are still continuing to be Zoroastrian even though they have all of these disadvantages. But I mean, the most immediate thing that will happen is that all of this discrimination against them will stop immediately. So that's what will
So,
happen.
like we have a lot of Zoroastrian people in India, and they are also in Britain and USA to some extent. We call them Parsi because I believe that's what they are, Parsi people. Would Do you see a future where they would be able to migrate back to their homeland?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they can if they want. I think a lot of them are going to want to stay because they now have deep roots where they are, right? But I'm pretty sure that that opportunity is going to be open to them, to the ones who want to, given that, I mean, nobody's going to stop them, right?
Yeah, just like
Wait,
the Jewish migration to Israel, I believe
uh,
something like that could happen with them also.
what? Oh, you mean like migrate and become citizens? That might be
Yeah,
challenging. Oh yeah. I don't think they're going to just issue citizenship to people based on religion, especially because they're not being oppressed in India, right?
no,
I
they
think
are not
like
oppressed, but you can give natural citizenship because I believe majority of them were from Iran.
Yeah, but
And
that's not how. That's not the reason to give out citizenships. Like, for example, when Israel is giving citizenship to Jews, is because Jews are being hunted down around the world. The Parsi community in India is doing very well, and India is treating the Parsi community in India very well, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty
thank
sure
you.
there's going to be avenues for them to try to come and get into the process of becoming a permanent resident, or I'm pretty sure there's avenues for people to become citizens. But I don't think it's going to be a blanket. Oh, you're Zoroastrian, so here's the citizenship. I don't think it is going to be like that.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Spivak, I know that you had something. Is this for now, for after the recording is done, or you can wait until Armin leaves?
It can be
So
for
I
now,
could.
but it's not about Iran.
Let me stop. You want me to stop recording? I could stop recording right now.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Oh,
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
okay. So I watched some of the videos from the ice shooting today, and it's really hard to see what's going on. But there's a real atmosphere of chaos. Um, like you can hear through the entire video that someone is just whistling really loudly, presumably to alert people that ice is there, or I don't know why. In my view, chaos only benefits bad actors. So if you're whistling at the top of your lungs for a minute straight, you're actively making the situation worse, and you're contributing to any self-defense case that an ICE officer might want to put up in court. This also reminds me of the situation in Israel with Yoav Gallant. Um, Netanyahu tried to fire him multiple times even before the war and got blocked from doing so by protests and various legal shenanigans. And as a result, what Gallant now claims is that the pager and beeper operations against Hezbollah could have been launched in October 2023, and that their capability was diminished because they had to be launched last minute when they were about to be discovered. Whereas Netanyahu claims that they were not ready in 2023 and the attack would have been ineffective at the time. So, who is right and who is to blame? Uh, in my opinion, the blame lies with the agents of chaos because there's no reason that we should have been in a position where the defense minister and the government are at odds. And I should not be dealing with the fact that two of the top officials have radically different stories, and I have to choose which to believe.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording here.